The Killer Author Club is back, baby, and with the very most talented killer JT Ellison in the house. So go grab your cocktail, get your list of questions for JT, and we will see you on the flip side.
Thought you really loved me, guess I was wrong. Thought you'd never leave me, guess I was dumb. Waited like forever to be your plus one, but I guess you were done. Left me at
Hi, guys. Thanks for being here. We are the Killers of the Killer Author Club. And you guys know us. You know we love to talk about all sorts of murder and killing of the fictional kind. Of course, during the episode, drop your questions for JT in the comments. We will get to them in a little bit. And no matter where you're watching us, you know that we have Killer Author Club, which is a group on Facebook. It's a public group. And then we also have, for the really hardcore killers, we have the Clubhouse, which is where we host our book clubs. And speaking of book clubs, who has a copy of the book? Because I don't have one. We've got Samantha Bailey coming up with...
I don't have that one.
Watch out for her. Oh, we're not prepared. Sorry.
I have this one. It's important.
Samantha is our February book club choice. So make sure to pick that book up and read it if you haven't already. You can also watch us on YouTube, where you can stream us live to your big ass TV on the wall. So all the links, everything is on killerauthorclub.com. Kara, would you be so kind as to introduce our killer guest?
You know, I'd love to, Kimberly. Okay, you guys, this is so exciting. For our first show of 2023, we have JT Ellison, the New York Times and USA Today bestselling author of more than 25 novels and the Emmy Award-winning co-host of the literary TV show. Are we going to win an Emmy? I don't think so. Word on Words. She also writes urban fantasy under the pen name Joss Walker. With millions of books in print, her work has won critical acclaim and prestigious awards. Her titles have been optioned for television and published in 28 countries. JT lives, and such a nice person, by the way, too, JT. JT lives with her husband and twin kittens in Nashville, where she is hard at work on her next novel. Welcome, JT. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you. I mean, how much fun to sit down with three of my best friends to talk books. How cool is this?
You know, it's so fun. We're so excited you're here. Okay, so back to business. Now, we need you to give us the short elevator pitch for It's One of Us.
So It's One of Us is the story of a young couple who are trying and failing to have a child. And they are suffering from extreme infertility and multiple miscarriages and all the horrible things that go along with that. And one morning, the police knock on the door and tell them that the husband's son is the suspect in a murder. But obviously, they don't have any children. Hence, a very long and twisting road to figure out why the husband has been lying to his wife all this time.
Right. So good. Love it. Love it.
Mine is still stuffed with sand. There's sand in it.
You're just showing off now.
It was international. I like it.
Yeah, I have no sand in mine. But okay. All right. It sounds so good. And we're going to get to more of it in a moment. But first, Heather, will you introduce the killer cocktail?
So JT has come prepared with her killer cocktail. So she's brought for us today cranberry wine punch, and we have the recipe up there, and we also will post that as well so you can get the details. But tell us, JT, why did you choose this gorgeous looking cocktail? Can you show us it again?
It's bloody.
Yeah.
It looks like blood. This is a little watered down version of the full blown cranberry punch. This is just a little crime-aid, right? It's not quite as intense, but yeah, it's like a big, huge pot of bubbling, spicy blood. It's awesome. Mm-hmm. It's actually one of the best cocktails you will ever have, especially on a cold winter's night. It's really, it's very warming. It's got a lot of warming spices, and it can be made as a mocktail with just extra apple juice, which is fabulous.
Yeah,
Good. I love it.
Well, cheers. I'm doing dry-ish January, so this is lemon water.
Yeah, I've got
So boring.
water too.
Oh.
Guess what? I have Chardonnay.
Cheers.
Mine's as well. Mine's
As always. Yeah.
good job, Kara. You're the only one.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Maybe dry February. How's that?
Okay, so Library Journal gave It's One of Us a starred reviewing, saying it spotlights the issue of infertility, then adds betrayal, obsession, and familial ties to create a tension-filled story with an intriguing theme. And I agree with all of that. We are all dying to know the answer to your killer question, which is, why do you kill?
I think so that I can find justice on the other side of it. Right? Not because I can, but because there's a way to examine the humanity in this kind of horrible thing that happens to a family and find some answers for them and maybe find some justice.
I love that.
Good answer.
I love it.
This is why she wins Emmys, you guys.
What? Say it again.
I said that's why she wins Emmys.
I know.
That's because I've got a really, really good crew. It has little to do with me.
Okay. So I have a question, and you talk about in your author's note at the end that this is a very personal story for you, and everybody can read that author's note in the book and see what you say. But my question is, like, how do you do that? How do you write how difficult was it to write a story that is so up close and personal and fictionalize it? I mean, was it easier to write this story? Was it much harder to write this story?
It was easier in the way that I could very much connect with Olivia in ways that I've never been able to connect with a main character before. I experienced everything that she went through, and I felt like that really translated well to the page. She's a very vulnerable character. She's a very elegant, sophisticated, calculating, and analytical woman who is incredibly talented at what she does, except for the one thing that she's like biologically programmed to do and can't.
Yeah.
And when you're in this struggle, when you're trying to have children and you can't, it gets to a point where you're just kind of like, you're an automaton. You're just going through the motions at that point. You lose sight of what it's all about. And that's where she's at. She just can't even face this again. The book opens with her miscarrying for the 6th time. And she's like, that's it. I can't keep doing this. And we hit that point ourselves. So it was very, very much I connected with her, but it was also, I mean, I'm not going to lie. It was really, really hard to write this. It was ripping off, oh, that's very sweet. Ripping off the Band-Aid every day, every time I had to read it. There was a point even that, during editorial, how many times you have to read a book. And one of my friends was like, you know what, you've done your work on this. You don't need to read this again.
Yeah.
But I did, and I found a huge, huge continuity error. So thank God I did.
Oh no.
I would have gotten burned if I hadn't done my job, and because this is our job and this is what we do. But yeah, it wasn't easy, and I'm not still sure how I'm out even talking about it, but here we are. It's here. I don't have a choice. The book's out in a month, so
it's super great though, because I mean, you must have known going in that it was going to be a hard thing to not just write and read, but to talk about, because you're like, comes out next month, right? You're going to go on tour. You're going to have this question from every single audience person.
Yeah. I decided, so I actually wrote it and was not going to turn it in.
Really?
My agent was like, you have to turn this in. It's going to touch people. And that was what ended up, I'm a private person. I'm very shy. Not a lot of people knew that we were going through this. I'm sure this is news to a lot of you, but I feel like if I can help even just one person who is struggling to maybe find a little bit of strength to know that it's okay, that there is a joyful life on the other side of this, even if it doesn't work. If it works, great. So, superb, wonderful. If it doesn't, it never worked for us. We do not have children. We've got cats. They're awesome. We have a fabulous marriage. We, the whole Harry met Sally, the cold Mexican tile and everything. Yeah, we can jet off and we can do what we want to do. So there is actually life on the other side of this. And so if that ever gets to somebody so they know, wow, I'm going through hell, but maybe it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. I promise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're already making a difference from the comments.
Yeah, I know. Look at all these comments coming through.
And I do think, in the sense, we talk about this a lot on this show, that fiction helps you process hard parts of life. Even if we're talking about killing in a tongue-in-cheek way on the show, we are also talking about real topics that affect real people. And we all four of us write about people in the suburbs, like trying to live a normal life, trying to get through life, and then something terrible happens, and outside forces, or maybe the person you're sleeping with. But anyway, I do think that the bravery of tackling something personal is really poignant, and I think readers really appreciate you giving that truth out there, and I know you're going to help so many people.
Yeah,
I hope so. I hope we can destigmatize this conversation. I mean, I don't know about you. I don't know anybody who hasn't had a miscarriage. I mean, it's everywhere. It's just something none of us talk about, but we've all been through it. And it kind of blew my mind when I started sharing with people, and they were like, oh, me too. Wow. So maybe this will, also make it, Gwyneth Paltrow made menopause cool.
Right. Yeah, she did.
Right. So maybe there's a path. I don't know.
Well, I think it's just talking about it, right? So Best Day Ever was about domestic violence. And I mean, domestic violence is somebody who's going through that, right? But to be able to talk about it, and to be able to even in a fictional way, help people see that they're going to be okay, and that there's a way through that, it's so important. So
it
important.
Is. Yeah. It's our job. That's our job.
Yeah. It is. So good job.
Thank you. Well, and I have to say, okay, so this book is, thriller, suspense around an unraveling marriage. And I've met Randy, several times, and he's a great guy. Such a great guy. So how do you write about an unraveling marriage when, you obviously are so close, and two peas in a pod? So how do you do that?
We're peas and carrots, right? We just go together. We've always been like that, right? I have to mine divorce stories from friends, and I also have to just imagine his opposite and how that would work. The person who does hide things from you, the person who does have an affair, the things that I value so much, fidelity and honesty, and just being with a moral man who is a man. I mean, he's just the greatest guy. You all have met him. He's fabulous. Take that and spin it. And what is the exact opposite? What is his Janice twin? Who is that bad boy? Not that he's not a bad boy, but who is it's just everything I can imagine that he's not. Right? He is all of my heroes, and all of my villains are his antithesis.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
That's so sweet. I hope he's listening.
He's not. He's reading a book. He didn't even hear that. So
okay.
Somebody send him a link later.
I love it. So let's talk about the murky medical ethics in this book, because I thought that was a really interesting plot device, especially in terms of, what was going on with the married couple, your main character and her husband. Like, where did that come from? Did you guys, did you read something? Did that just pop in your head? How did you come up with that?
Well, sperm donation is obviously a huge component of this book, and it's on the back cover copy. We find out that Park actually has 28 children. And one
Can
of
you
them,
imagine?
I can. I absolutely can.
And she did.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly, when we were in the process of going through all of our infertility stuff, it wasn't him, it was me. And I told him, why don't you donate? And that way we know that something, you've got something of yourself left behind. I've got my books, right? I've got my own children in a way. And I wanted, him, if he wanted to do that, to have that. And then I started thinking about, well, when are they going to start knocking on the door, and how many of them are there going to be? And it just kind of blows up from there. And it was a very zeitgeisty topic, I think, for a while there. All the huge shows were coming out, all the stories were coming out about how the sperm banks are just not regulated at all. And donor I don't remember the exact number, but there's a great podcast about a donor who has schizophrenia and I can't remember how many kids they have figured out that he has, but I listened to that when I was writing this book. And it just was incredibly eye-opening as to how the industry works, how it doesn't work, how it's completely unregulated, how, they have to be ethical about what they're doing and to have limits, and they don't. I mean, obviously that's why we have a sibling donor registry, because we're finding out that, doctors inseminated hundreds of women with their own sperm.
Right. I was going to say that was just very recently in the news, right?
Yeah, and unfortunately that happens like a lot. That's not a unique story, and that kind of blew my mind. So I had to weave that in there, and of course, this is Park and Olivia's story, but it's also Scarlett, who is a donor daughter, and her mom Darby, and the journey that they're on. And Darby decided she wanted to be a single mom. She didn't have a great upbringing. She didn't have great parents. She wanted to do it herself, and she's gotten a sperm donor, and she has 2 kids. And Scarlett doesn't like when her mom says, your dad, your donor. She never says your father. And she's feeling that gap, that hole in her life. And so she starts reaching out and finding and realizing, hey, there's a whole bunch of us. And, so it's kind of coming at this story from 2 angles.
Yeah. Yeah. I really loved it. I thought it was cool. So Melanie has a question. I actually know this answer, maybe. How do you choose the place of your story setting?
So most of my books are in Nashville or have a Nashville tie. There's only been a couple that don't. It's such an incredibly rich environment. It has a lot of dichotomies. You go to the grocery store and you're going to see everything from a family on food stamps to your local country music star. Nicole Kidman's getting her nails done in the shop down the street. It's just this crazy, weird place. And everybody moves here from LA because we're inured to it, right? There's just famous people everywhere. And it's just kind of like, hey, how you doing? They don't get bothered. Nobody, tracks them down or follows them home and stuff. It's just, there's like a unspoken code about how everything is dealt with here. And it's just a cool town. It's changed a lot. I mean, I go back through some of my early books and it's like, well, that's closed. That's been torn down. It's changed dramatically in the 25 years that I've lived here. But it is a lot of fun. Now, the places that I do outside of Nashville is generally someplace I want to travel to. Italy,
that's right. You did one on it was an island, right?
Yeah, an island off. It was sort of Capri meets an island in Como that's too small to have worked for the story. So I go in Scotland, London. I go the places that I want to set books, so I can do the research. And it's important. Paris, Lie to Me.
My next one's in Paris. I'm like, I need a research trip, please.
Oh, I'm telling you, it is. There is nothing that can replace actually being in a city and smelling it and hearing it and tasting it and just all of the senses that we don't get through Google Earth.
Right.
Love it.
You're so lucky. I'm stuck in the suburbs. I'm going to travel someday soon.
No,
you're
You are always on the road. I never see
no,
you
in my
at home.
books. I mean, in my books.
Oh,
I love to travel.
Start writing them in.
Yeah, I know. I've tried. They're like, no suburbs. I'm like, all right, fine. My next one, I get to go to Catalina Island in my next one, so that's my big trip.
That's fun.
Well, that's actually, I mean, it's like a world unto itself. So,
It is.
and that's the thing about finding a setting is finding something that is a world unto itself.
Right. And then making it your world unto
Yeah,
itself.
making it your world so we can be a character.
Yeah, it totally is. Okay.
So Anne Marie wants to know, how long does it take you to write a book?
I mean, in a best possible scenario, it takes a month to research an outline. Stop. So a month to research an outline, 4 months to draft,
Okay.
and a month to edit. So six months if it's like a series title. But if it's a standalone, they usually take a little longer. They're taking me longer now because there's just, you have to create the entire world. When it's a series title, you're just kind of plug and playing a plot into characters that already exist and a setting that already exists.
Yeah.
So it just takes a little bit longer. You know, this one took, I don't know, 8 months, 9 months.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Me.
Yeah.
Besides us,
I was going to say, you're looking at us.
who are some of your favorites?
That's a silly question. These girls are my favorites.
Need we say more? I think we're done.
Yeah.
Oh, look around.
So I'll go outside of our genre because there isn't a thriller author that I am not a fan of. I mean, you know, Lisa Unger, all the Lisas, Lisa Unger, Lisa Scottolini, Lisa Gardner, you know, they're all fantastic. So I'm going to step outside of crime fiction and recommend Leigh Bardugo, Naomi Novik, and I like Sarah J. Maas a lot too.
Oh yeah. She's the only one of who are the other two? I don't know who those are.
Naomi Novik. I just read a trilogy of hers set in the Scholomance, which is, it's a magical Harvard that eats the students, and they're trying to learn how not to die. It's got monsters in the school.
Wonderful.
It's one of the most brilliant things I've ever read. I mean, I was like, wow, this is wildly original. And you know, Sarah J. Maas, Leigh Bardugo is she did the Grishaverse. I don't know if you've seen that TV show. But which is fantastic, and I highly recommend it. But she's also doing really sophisticated, kind of upscale, contemporary urban fantasy set at Yale. And so it's got the dark academia as well as the magical, but she's so smart, and all of her work is just wildly intellectual. So it's really smart stuff. So the first one is The Ninth House, and the second one,
I do know her. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Haven't read, but it's on my list now.
It's, it's really, yes, Hellbent is out today. Yay. Hey, Erin. What's fascinating to me, I find my thrillers are more nuanced and richer by reading fantasy because the worlds are just so remarkable. The creativity that goes into that just really enhances what I'm doing on the suspense and thriller side.
Love that.
All right. Unfortunately, you guys, that wraps up our question session. I know that we have so many questions coming through. I know, and we'd like to ask each one, but we can't because we'd be over time. And people are also very interested in the giveaway. I know. So, okay, JT is giving away 3 signed copies of It's One of Us to 3 lucky killer watchers. Okay, all you have to do is answer this question about our killer guest, and we will pick from the correct answers. No cheating. Bonus points for joining the clubhouse or subscribing to our YouTube channel. I forgot to check what we're up to on our YouTube channel. I will check that soon. Okay, anyway. All right, so the question is, JT also writes in another genre. What is it? Kimberly.
What could it be?
Wonder.
So, and as you guys know, we also love our indie booksellers. And so we ask our guests every episode to give us one of their favorites. And JT has selected The Poisoned Pen in Scottsdale, Arizona. So you can pre-order your copy of It's One of Us there. You can pre-order 20 copies of It's One of Us there. JT, will you tell us why you love this store?
It is it's beautiful, right? It's just like this perfect indie bookstore. But Barbara Peters runs this store, and she is one of the most interesting people. If you ever have a chance to talk to her, she knows more about books and this industry and how writers work. She knows every living writer, I think, known to mankind. And she's just a really interesting person. And the entire staff there, they're incredibly dedicated. They love working there. And Barbara's leaving the store to them. She has announced that she's leaving the store to the
employees.
So I think that's really, really cool, and that it's going to live on many, many decades into the future. I think that's super cool.
So cool. I've always wanted to go there. I really want to go
there. It's really awesome. It's a really awesome store. You should. They would love you, Kara.
I'd like it. I would love to.
Well, I just dropped the link, the pre-order link. It will take you straight to JT's book. So
yes, 20 per person is perfect. I'll sign you
up. 20, 25, whatever you.
I won't be greedy. 20 is great. 20 per person is perfect.
All right. Okay, and you guys, we also have our swag giveaway and our Killer Author Club Celebrate section. So, all right. Membership has its privileges. We keep telling you this. So every episode we choose a name from the Killer Author Clubhouse, which is on Facebook. You can go and join. And somebody who's a member there will win a piece of our swag, our t-shirts, our hats, props. Okay, hats, t-shirts, mugs, get it all. Okay, so today's winner is Nicole Witten-Jones. So congrats, Nicole. Please send one of the killers your address and we'll send some killer swag your way. Also, we've gotten, this is such a blessing, but we've gotten so many requests for people to be on the show that we can't accommodate everybody on the live show every 2 weeks. So we want to celebrate, though, special releases. So tonight we're going to celebrate author Carol Johnstone and the release of her novel, The Black House, a gothic thriller and whodunit set on an isolated Scottish island where nothing is as it seems and shocking twists lie around every corner. We're going to drop a link to Carol's website in the comments so you can learn more. So congratulations, Carol.
That looks really good.
Right?
It does. Oh my gosh. Well, I can't believe we're at this time in the show already. JT, we love to celebrate the authors that come on, and it's not always easy getting through this 30 minutes with us. So we have a little surprise for you. Your Killer Author Club Survived Bad.
I love it.
You can print it out. You can, hang it on your wall along with all your Emmys
on your chest.
It should go right up with all your book awards and your Emmy awards. But we are so grateful that you could spend some time with us. We love you. We love your books, and we are so excited for everybody to run out and get their copy of It's One of Us.
Or 25 copies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or 20.
Spread the word because, like we talked about, it's a personal, heartfelt story wrapped within this amazing thriller. So it's everything you can want in the book.
It's awesome. Yeah.
You guys are the best. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you.
So happy you're here. Our first episode of 2023.
No.
Happy New Year. I hope 2023 brings us all everything we can possibly hope.
Amen to that. So next week we are back. You don't have to wait 2 weeks for us. We will be back coming in hot next week, 1 week from tonight, the 17th at the same time, with the New York Times and USA Today bestselling author and a hell of a storyteller, according to Cranky Kirkus. So it must be true. Her next book, Just the Nicest Couple, is out today. So do not miss Mary next week. See you
another of our favorites.
Yeah,
Yes.
she's awesome. And that book is really good too. I also read it. There's sand in that one as well.
All
So,
right.
guys, we will see you guys next week. In the meantime, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all the places.
YouTube.
YouTube. Check out killerauthorclub.com and go shopping at The Poisoned Pen and killerauthorclub.com.
Yeah.
I guess I'm a killer through